Alright, welcome back. As I noted at the end of the last lecture, we're taking things in a different direction because of the situation in Iran. This is a 4-lecture unit now, and instead of talking about Guantanamo Bay and Camp X-Ray there, we're going to be talking about the 9/11 Commission instead. Let's get right into it. The 9/11 Commission, chartered at the end of November 2002, they wrapped up their investigation less than 2 years later, at the end of August 2004. 10-member committee, appointed by President Bush, half Democrat, half Republican. The chairman, Thomas Kean, Republican. Co-chairman, Lee Hamilton, Democrat. Some of the more notable names among the commissioners was Richard Benveniste, one of the Watergate prosecutors, and John Lehman. John Lehman was Secretary of the Navy during the 1980s, but he's probably a little more well-known as the chairman of an investment bank Wall Street that no longer exists, Lehman Brothers. Yes, he was part of that credit default swap meltdown from last year. Thank you, John Lehman. Wonder what he's doing these days. That's beside the point. These 10 commissioners, though, didn't do the heavy lifting, to be honest. That was done by the staff, and Philip Zelikow in particular, the head of the staff. Philip Zelikow is a professor of history and political science at the University of Virginia, as fate would have it. The staff conducted thousands upon thousands of hours of interviews with hundreds and hundreds of witnesses. They dug through thousands of pounds of documents to piece together the story of what happened in the 1990s, and especially in the months, weeks, and days leading up to 9/11. In March of 2004, the 11 Commission held its public hearings. Called to testify were the Secretaries of Defense under President Clinton and President Bush, William Cohen and Donald Rumsfeld, the Secretaries of State, Madeleine Albright, Colin Powell, the Director of Central Intelligence, George Tenet, a man who would later become infamous for declaring that it was a, quote, slam dunk that Saddam Hussein had a weapon of mass destruction. Also called to testify in closed-door session, and not under oath, were the two presidents. Bill Clinton testified on April 9th, 2004 for 4 hours. Closed-door session, not under oath. We don't have a transcript of that interview. President Bush was the last person to testify before the 9/11 Commission, and for quite a long time it seemed as though he might not actually testify, nor would Vice President Dick Cheney testify. But in the end, they both did, together, and like President Clinton, not under oath, and there is no transcript of their testimony. What we're going to watch now is President Bush's press conference given on the 29th of April 2004 after he'd been interviewed together with the Vice President Dick Cheney by members of the 9/11 Commission. Let's go to the tape.
The Vice President and I just finished a good conversation with the 911 Commission. It was wide-ranging. It was important. It was just a good discussion, and I really appreciate the members. I want to thank the Chairman and Vice Chairman for bringing the Commission here and giving us a chance to share views on different subjects. They had a lot of good questions. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I took the time. This is an important commission, and it's important that they ask the questions they ask so that they can help make recommendations necessary to better protect our homeland. And I enjoyed it. Let me ask you a couple of questions.
What topic did you spend most of the time on? And were there any subjects that you didn't answer or were advised by your counsel not to answer?
I was never advised by my counsel not to answer anything. I answered every question they asked. I'd probably best that I not go into the details of the conversation, let them incorporate into their report. There was a lot of interest, excuse me, a lot of interest in about how to better protect America. In other words, they're very interested in the recommendations that they're going to lay out, and I'm interested in those as well. And we discussed a lot of things, Terry, a lot of subjects, it was a very cordial conversation. I was impressed by the questions, and it was I think it helped them understand how I think and how I run the White House and how we deal with threats. John.
President, a lot of critics suggested that you wanted to appear jointly with the Vice President so that you two could keep your story straight or something.
Yeah.
Could you tell us what you think of the value of appearing together and how you would answer those critics?
Yeah, first of all, look, I mean, if we had something to hide, we wouldn't have met with them in the first place. We answered all their questions, and as I say, I think I came away good about the session because I wanted them to know, how I set strategy, how we run the White House, how we deal with threats. The Vice President answered a lot of their questions. I answered all their questions. And I think it was important for them to see our body language as well, how we work together. But it was, the commissioners will speak for themselves over time. They will let you know whether they thought fruitful series of discussions. I think they did. I think they found it to be useful. Yeah, Adam.
Mr. President,
Yes.
don't you think that the families deserve to have a transcript or to be able to see what you
Adam, you
said?
asked me that question yesterday. I got the same answer, yeah.
Can you say with any confidence that there are no al-Qaeda operatives active in the country today?
No, I can't say that.
You shouldn't ask me.
No, they didn't. But I'm not going to get any more details about what they asked me. I told you I wasn't going to get into details about what they asked me, and then I just fell into your trap. But no, let me talk about vulnerabilities, and I got to get back to work. We are still vulnerable to attack, and the reason why is Al-Qaeda still exists. Al-Qaeda is dangerous. Al-Qaeda hates us, and we have to be correct 100% of the time in defending America, and they got to be right once. And therefore, we are vulnerable. But people need to know we're working. We, the government, at all levels, are working long hours to protect America. We're doing the best we can. The best way to secure America, however, is to stay on the offensive and bring those people to justice before they harm America again. And that's what we're continuing to do. But so long as there's an Al-Qaeda enemy that is willing to kill, we are vulnerable. Thank you all.